Okay, now we're going to get into solving proportions. So that's what this is. Notice that in this equation you have a fraction, an equal sign, and another fraction. When that's the case, and you just have like a single fraction on both sides of the equal signs, this is what's called a proportion. Now, one of the benefits of solving proportions is that the cross products are always equal. So if you just take something that you know to be true, such as 2/4 equals 1/2, this is an equation, a fraction equal to a fraction. Notice the cross products are equal. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 4 is 4. So the benefit of that is that if you're trying to solve an equation of two fractions, we can very quickly clear the fraction by just cross multiplying. So when we have proportions, we're allowed to do that. Now, one thing to be aware of is that this fraction does have a variable in the denominator. So as I mentioned earlier, that step in the notes where it says list any restrictions on the variable is going to apply here. So the deal is that we can't have x equaling anything that's going to cause this denominator to be 0. And since opposites make 0, in this case our restriction is x cannot equal -8. Now, the only time that's going to come into play is if when you go to solve this equation, if you end up with a -8 as your solution, you then know you have to reject that solution because if you went to substitute a -8, you would get a 0 in the denominator, and division by 0 is undefined, and so that would not be a acceptable solution. We would have to reject it, and the answer would just be, hey, we have no solution for this equation. So the restrictions come into play throughout the semester in different cases, but in this case right now, it's just simply to see if we can keep the solution or reject it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cross multiply in order to get rid of in order to make a new equation that does not have fractions. So if I multiply x by 2, I get 2x on one side. If I multiply 3 by x plus 8, I can write it like this. Or I can go ahead and distribute the 3 to the x and the 8. Either way, you end up with, okay? And then from there, you're going to, get your variables on one side, numbers on the other side. I'll do that real quick. You end up with a negative in front of your variable, so switch both signs, and there you have it. Now you can go ahead, if you always do a check, then that might take care of understanding about the restriction. But yeah, so you may want to try to check some of these to make sure that you are getting the right answer. So let's see, does -24 over -24 plus 8 simplify to 3/2? Let's see, so we get a -24 here, a -16 there, negative over a negative is a positive. 24 and 16 are both divisible by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3, and 16 divided by 8 is 2. So I've verified that both sides actually equal each other.